I'm seeing we're live.
Oh, okay. Yeah. You can't see us though right now, right?
I can't see what?
You can't see you and I, can you?
Yeah, I can see both of us. Yeah, I can see, and I can see we're on YouTube.
You can see us on YouTube right now?
You can't see this though right now, right?
Yeah.
Oh boy, I tell you.
Fun.
All right, so let me share it real quick to the Facebook community.
Okay.
So can you see me sharing it?
No, because I can't see your screen.
Okay. I can actually share it on Twitter too, but I don't have that information.
Right.
So Lee, actually, I'm gonna ask if you can give, you know, what we're talking about today. I'm gonna spend a little bit of time doing some housekeeping, see what I can do.
Okay. So today we're gonna talk about an industry that's kind of warm to a lot of people's hearts, and one that everybody pretty much knows about, which is the marijuana market. We kind of want to go through, because so in our group last night, and shout out to Amira, I think I'm saying your name right. In our Facebook group, we had a huge chat the other day. Everyone was listing their tickers, and she was the only one that threw out that she had invested in a cannabis weed stock. So that got me to thinking, like, that's something we haven't covered. That's something I've actually gotten questions about recently. So I figured it'd be a great topic for us to discuss today, specifically the topic around why. So crazy thing is, when weed first came to like everyone's mindset around 2016, 17, 18, it was considered to be the next gold rush, the next .com boom, the next tech stocks, where the next $1 billion was going to be made. Crazy thing is, the exact opposite happened. Anyone who got in early lost their shirt, period. Most weed stocks are down anywhere from 80 to 90, 95, 97% from their highs. It's been absolute decimation of value and of money that went into marijuana stocks starting around 17, 18.
And we're going to actually show you guys an example of that during this. We're actually going to show you a stock that went to zero. So that's coming up.
They go to zero. They go to zero. It's still trading. It went near it. It's close today at $7. So we're gonna show you the unless you have one, Brent.
Oh, I have one it's you know what? I'll let you see it.
All right. Yeah, the one I'm gonna show is it went from 300 to 7. So I'll show that one. You can show the one going to zero.
All right, let me see. And you can kind of give them just an overview of the industry, what it is that maybe drove the industry to that place.
Yeah. So are you able to pull up the chart?
Give me a couple moments.
All right. So one of the biggest issues with the industry, and I'll actually go through the points now that I had listed. So the industry, like I said, when it first came out, everyone looked at it as the next .com, the next gold rush, right? Didn't happen. And there are actually 3 specific reasons why. I mean, there are other reasons, but these are 3 of the biggest. The first reason is massive competition, right? Everyone thought this was going to be the next place they're going to make their $1 billion. Next place we're going to become rich beyond belief. They saw it as the next, Google, Microsoft, Apple, right? Didn't happen. What happened was there was so much pent up demand for a new market. Everyone knows that weed essentially is used by pretty much everybody on some level. Either it's edibles or the flower, what have you. A lot of people use weed. May say it, may not, but a lot of people do. So with that demand, with that pent up drive towards it, what happened was a lot of companies jumped into the market. So I have some stats. Coming in, growers went from 0 to 9,000 growers in about a 5-year span. Because weed actually became, I think the first place it became legal was Portland, I believe. I believe it was like in 2012-ish or so. So a little after the credit crisis, a few years later, we started to become legal in the U.S. I believe. I may be wrong on that, but I'll check my stats now. But it started to become legal early after the credit crisis. So a lot of companies started to jump into this field. So between then and when weed became legal in the U.S., you had 9,000 growers, and right now we have about 5,000 dispensaries and weed stores. To give some perspective, Walmart has about 4,500 stores. No, the other one, Brent, has about 4,500 stores on its own. So a lot of these big retailers have anywhere from like 2,500 to like 4,000, 4,500 stores, right? And those are company owned by one company. So there's no competition there. With weed, you have 5,000 independent, I guess like franchise competing against each other. 5,000, huge competition. So 9,000 growers, 5,000 stores, right? So okay, so what this chart is showing you, so on the far left, you see early 2000, that's about 2018. And what you're seeing there is, you see the gold rush mentality, right? Everyone jumped into this thing, piled into it. You see the volume at the bottom of the chart, it was spiking. Everyone saw this as their gold rush, right? Market went up. Then as you see, over the next, it was around, that was like September, November, into 2019, it started to turn over. And what happened around this time was these public companies now were reporting their earnings and their sales. And a lot of these companies, before they went public, said they could reach profitability within a year or less. So this is what they're telling Wall Street. So Wall Street, and then Wall Street goes and does their models and runs their expectations. And they were coming out with saying profitability in a year, year and a half. When they started reporting, they were nowhere near, they're not only Wall Street estimates, but their own estimates. I mean, they're way under. So a lot of people were thinking, okay, it's early, let's give them some time. Let's see what happens a few quarters out. Well, the stock chart tells you what happened a few quarters out. Again, they were missing sales, missing profits, missing product deliveries, just missing all the way around. And the stocks got decimated. This is Tillery, ticker symbol TLRY. It's one of the biggest weed producers in the United States. It went from $25, and this chart only shows it going to $150 because this is an intraday chart. It's a closing chart, but intraday it went from $25 all the way up to $300. And as you see today at the far right, it closed at $7 and I believe 12 cents, down 97%, 97%. So everyone's gold rush mentality did not pan out at all. It was a total and complete flop. And as of right now, people are looking at weed and saying, okay, well, the stocks are really cheap, right? They're really inexpensive. Let me get in now and ride the wave back up, and hoping it's 2018 again. I'm gonna tell you why that's a bit of a problem. So as I said, huge competition, 9,000 growers, 5,000 stores. Another problem is that the product actually isn't that great. So there's anecdotal evidence from weed users and smokers that the product that they get from their friend, their cousin, their friend from high school, whatever, where they get their product now, far exceeds what these franchises are selling. So the product isn't even that good. So you have huge competition driving down prices and not even a good product. Second major point, which is the point that a lot of people thought this was gonna completely go away, but it's about that guy or girl that everyone buys a weed from, quote unquote, illegally now. Everyone thought that when the legal market came to fruition, that underground illicit market or legal market will go away. They thought everyone would just be like, oh, now we can go buy weed. We can get out from under the shadows and come into the light and buy our weed. Didn't happen, not even close. So Brent, if you could throw up the next chart.
All right, let me jump in real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
About that. So when we talk about the gold rush mentality, that leads to what's called the gold rush effect. Leon and I made that up, so that's our thing. But the gold rush effect, and then you have that large spike, right? And when you see that spike, and all of a sudden it's this rush down, what happens is on Wall Street, from Wall Street's perspective, when you miss your earnings, companies, people, stockholders lose confidence in you. And then you start to see people pulling out. And then you have a couple people who, let's ride through it, let's see what's gonna happen. And then you miss earnings again. 2 consecutive earnings misses by a company can mean the death of them. And when you do miss earnings reports because you didn't have the proper financials and your forecasting was all wrong, because accounting, one of the problems in the medicinal marijuana marketplace is the ambiguity of how you do your accounting or how you do your bookkeeping. It's still a process where they're trying to figure out if it's going to be a cash-based business. How are they going to file taxes? What are net profits? All these things lead to financials being either well done or poorly done. And right now, because there's no guidance on how the industry is going to land in regards to each state kind of providing their own guidance on how to regulate them, now the financials are all screwed up. And when these companies have messed up financials, then they can't spend money properly. And I know you're thinking like, whoa, some of these companies made so much money. Some of these companies have a vault with cash stacked to the ceiling that they can't really spend or account for because they don't know what the regulation is going to come down the pipeline. So they don't know how much of this is research and development, how much of this is operating capital, what's the portion we keep for taxes. All these lead to instability in the marketplace.
Mm-hmm. And also, real quick on the banking point, right now they can't even bank with major banks, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, because weed is still illegal federally, and banks have federal charters. So, like Brent said, a lot of these businesses are essentially cash-based businesses where they really can't bank the way a normal business would bank with a major bank because of the federal rule of weed being still an illegal drug.
No, and so, you know, kind of one of those pieces that you never thought to happen. People are actually price gouging weed growers because they know, like good accountants, good law firms, because they know they have no choice but to pay them to try to become in compliance, which they don't know what compliance is going to be. And if you all follow us, you know, sometimes we talk about the stock market. There are risk factors included in the stock market. What the medicinal marijuana marketplace has is called a governmental risk. And that governmental risk means that they don't know what the rules and regulations or guidance are going to be, or is going to, how it's going to come down at any point in history. That leads to instability. Wall Street doesn't like instability. You still have this person at the corner that's been extremely reliable, this phone call that you can make that's extremely reliable. And this person now, they're not subject to the guidelines or having grow audits, you know, coming in saying, is this the right strain? Is this, is it the person who's kind of freelancing? They don't have the same regulation. So, you know, these things all weigh into how these companies grow. And Leon, before we jump into the next chart, remember I told you all that we're going to show you a chart that went to zero. And this is going to really support what Leon is saying. Let me go up to the top. Let me see if I can show the 1 year.
Went to zero.
Yeah. So you check this. Yeah, this company originally, go back. It's not even tracking the actual price of it. That's incredible. But this company was listed or showcased in, I want to say Forbes, or it might have been on Yahoo, maybe in Yahoo Finance in about 2017, 2018. They were like one of the hot marijuana stocks to have, and it's called hemp. I mean, you got to think the ticker symbol is HEMP. So of course, everybody flocked to it. It was like, oh, hemp is going to be the next thing.
Yep.
This was the one time in my career, and I've been a licensed agent. I was a licensed agent for 19 years. I've been trading with Leon, and I've been trading since I was 15. I'm 43 years old right now. This is the only stock I have ever owned that went to zero.
Oh, you own this?
I own this. This also is one of those things where we're telling y'all we're not outside of the bubble where every stock pick is a win.
Right.
I wanted to show you all this to show you it has happened to me. And honestly, Leon, I'm gonna be truthful. I had a stop loss on it at about $10, and when it went through the floor, like it just crashed. And I was so curious to see how far down it would go. I just stayed in it. So it got to like $2. And you know what? This is one of those things. This is the reason why we're valuable to everybody watching. We've experienced it. So I never had the ability to say I owned a stock that went to zero. So I decided I wanted to keep it so I can know what to look out for when I was consulting other people.
Right.
And I experienced it now. Like I want to say they got delisted, and then they now are floating it right now. Oh, this is the stock price. If you all can see it, it's 0.0046 cents.
Less than a penny. Yeah.
It's crazy. It might as well be some crazy crypto they created. But with that being said, I just wanted to kind of have a sidebar. I wanted to show you it and show you that sometimes you got to take a risk. And I invested a certain kind of money. What kind of money, Leon?
Risk capital. Money that you can lose.
So money that you can lose. And so when it started to crash, it was more entertaining than it was a heart attack. Some of you all watching this are going to have that gold rush mentality, which can lead to a gold rush effect. And what we're trying to stop is the thought that there's any one product out there that's just going to be like the bang boom to the moon. I have this one hit and I win. Now it happens, but by and large, you have to have a systematic approach to how you play the market. And the charts that we're showing you, the information we're giving you today is evidence of that. So Leon, now I'm gonna go back. You want me to go to that first chart?
No, the second one.
Second chart, okay.
Yeah, no, the other one. Yeah, this one. So, okay, so as I was saying, so the first point I was making, one of the big reasons why the weed industry, the weed stocks have totally failed, is huge, massive competition, right? So what that does, that drives down price. So the margins, the amount of money they thought they were going to make, they're not making anywhere near that, because again, you have 9,000 growers and you have 5,000 stores. It's huge competition. Second point is this chart here. So if you look at 2019, so what this is showing you is the size of the weed market by revenue. These numbers are in the billions with a B. So in 2019, you see that. So okay, what the bottom part of the graph is showing is the legal weed market. How much the new regulations, how much people have spent on legal weed, weed dispensaries and weed stores. 2019, it was about 13.6, let's say $14 billion, right? But look above that red line above, that's showing you the illegal weed market, right? So that 64.3 billion up top is roughly, it's about 2018, but if you see the line goes across, it's right about where it was in 18. So in 2019, it's about the same. So what this is saying is, in 2019, legal weed had sales of about 14 billion. Illegal weed had sales of about $64 billion. That's 80% of the weed market the illegal weed industry has. So what this means is, effectively, the weed market is still an illegal market. Yes, it's been deregulated by the government, but by and large, the weed market is still an illegal market. You still go to the guy in the corner to buy your weed. You're not going to or some of these, or girl, right? Or girl, yeah. You're not going to some of these new stores that are now selling weed that are legal. So again, look at these numbers. $14 billion in 2019 was legal sales of weed. In 2019, illegal sales of weed was $64 billion. The illegal market still controls 80% of the market. Now, if you look to the far right of this chart, so actually first look to the far left at the top. Back in 2014, the illegal market was 56 billion-ish, right? Give or take. If you look to the far right, now this is going out, this is projected out in 2025, the market is still going to be roughly, what is that number, Brent? Your thing is covering it.
Yeah, 29 billion.
Yeah, so they're estimating 29 billion in legal sales, but the illegal sales are still going to be $57 billion. So what I'm saying, look at 2014, the illegal sales of 56. What is that? 10 years later, it's going to be even higher. They're going to be selling, the illegal market is still going to be selling more weed than they were 10 years ago. So what this is showing is the illegal market for weed is here to stay. It's not going anywhere. Now, of course, we see over time, going out 2025, the legal side does make up some of that number. It's about 30 billion in legal sales, and let's just say 60 billion in illegal sales. So they cut.
Let me jump in real quick.
Okay.
What this chart also shows is consumer behavioral changes. And consumer behavioral changes are very hard to break. And addition to consumer behavioral changes, you have an effect where it's still a taboo asset, like people still don't, in certain business arenas or certain, family environments, they don't know what to do. Like, is it accepted? Is it not accepted? People look, what is the stigma that comes with it? So the market is still trying to figure out what to do with it. And so it was a time in which cigarettes were just commonplace and everybody was cool, everybody can smoke. But it then became, oh, you're smoking, you have to go outside. You can't do it here. It's that small group that can smoke. Why do they get smoke breaks? We don't get smoke breaks. There's still a lot of mentality things that have to catch up to the medicinal marijuana market or the legal marijuana market, because
they call it recreational marijuana.
Yeah. So, just think about not only the business and the quantitative side of it. You just have to think of the consumer behavioral patterns that have to change in order for this to be accepted on I'm going to the store to get it standpoint.
Right. So to wrap this up, so what this chart is showing you is that the illegal market still controls the weed market. The legal market, it's making some strides, but it's nowhere near what the illegal market is. And you see, we've gone from 2014 to 2000, let's say 2019, huge growth. I mean, the growth from 2014 to 2019 was huge, you know, from 3.5 billion up to, let's say, 14 billion. But again, if you look at the illegal market, that went from 56 billion up to 64 billion. So again, the legal market holds 80% of the weed industry. And another reason I'm gonna show you why that is. So my next point of why these weed stocks have failed, it comes down to taxes and regulation, right? So we all know that governments tax everything. They tax cigarettes, they tax food, they tax liquor, they tax everything. Well, they're also taxing weed. Problem with that is the taxes on weed are adding 40 to 50% to the cost of the weed. So I'm gonna give you an example. So let's say that you, for whatever, you know, you go down the block and you buy it from your friend for say some brownies, say an edible. Let's say it costs you $5 to buy it from your friend. Well, that's a flat fee, $5 and you're out. If you went to one of the chains, the legal side, one of them is called Made Men. If you went to Made Men and try to buy that same brownie, they start the same base of $5, but then they have to add in 50% increase to pay the tax and the fees to the government. So now you're going from $5 to $7.50, right? But there's no profit in there yet. That's all expense. So for them to add their profit, let's take it up to $10 now. Let's add another $2.50. So now that same brownie that you bought from your boy or girl down the street for $5, if you want to go to a legal dispensary or a weed store, it's not going to cost you $10. It's going to cost you exactly double the price to buy the same brownie that you bought from your friend now to buy legally at a weed dispensary or weed store. So that's probably the biggest reason that the traditional buyers of weed have not moved over to the legal side, because the cost is prohibitive. I mean, it's literally double the cost for the same product. And actually, as I said earlier, a lot of people say that the product is actually worse. So in some instances, you're paying double the price for a lesser product. So I mean, my three top reasons were competition is huge.